the best alternative is prevention. It's just prevent having to even you get to that point. Prevent having even to get a cash advance from the credit card, having to, do whatever. Utilize your resources in your community. Have some savings. Just be smart with your money and don't go out trying to impress people because hard times will come. That's life. That's literally life. There are good times and then there are bad times. Yo, what's goody? What's goody? Latrell in a hoodie, and welcome to another episode of the Brother Next Door podcast, where I talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life through actual steps in my own personal experiences. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for rocking with me, for supporting me. Thomas in the background doing the editing, making sure the cameras are right while we're recording. I can't do it without you guys. I can't do it without Thomas as my support team. One man team, but he's my support team for sure, and he's definitely holding it down every single week. So I just wanted to take a moment to just thank you guys and thank Thomas for the work and for you guys watching every single week. Or if you're not, you're going to start watching every single week, right? So without further ado, as the title shows, we're talking about payday loans. Now, this is the podcast where I talk about finance, personal development, and skills to get you further in life, right? And so understand when it comes to payday loans, this is after a while. This is when we've, been in a struggling position. This is when we're at our last resort. Not almost, but we are at our last resort. And so this is not a point we want to get to. This is not an option we want to choose. I'm not a financial advisor, so I strongly advise that you go seek professional help if you have the funds to do so, or know somebody in the professional field that can help you out in these tough times, right? But I just want to put you in front of the information and let you know, give you an idea of what you are getting yourself into when it comes to payday loans. Now, in this episode, I'm from Texas. I live in Texas. And so that's the state I'm going to focus on. If you live in a different state, look up the laws in your state. But let's get straight into it. What is a payday loan? Understand that payday loan, also a cash advance loan or a cash advance or a check advance loan, is a loan that is short term, usually 2 weeks. That's why it's called payday, but has a lot of interest and is very enticing to people who are desperate. So usually, no credit checks, none of that, easy approval, all that good stuff, all that terrible stuff, really. And so you're just able to walk in, sign a piece of paper, right, and then get hit with a ton of interest. Now in Texas, the average interest rate is 660%. Now understand, we have laws on it, but it's very lax laws. Now the only additional protection we have is based on the county you're in, right? And so understand there are local regulations, as you could see on your screen. You have one from Dallas. You have one from Denton, El Paso, Houston, San Antonio. And so these cities, right, are trying to help out these people with additional regulations. But at the end of the day, they're going to find some type of loophole, some type of way to make you pay a lot more and just dig you in a hole that you cannot get yourself out of. So check that out if you're in Texas. This guys.sll.texas.gov website for additional information. Now understand, when I'm talking about loopholes, understand Texas banks are not allowed to charge in Texas. Texas banks are not allowed to charge more than 10% interest. But understand, payday lenders are actually what are called credit brokers, right? Or credit access businesses. And if you go and look at those documents in the website I just showed you, Denton specifically, because that's the area I'm around, they specifically use that language, credit access businesses, because they know that they're doing loopholes and trying to get around with charging more in interest. And so understand that they are credit access businesses. So that's why they're able to charge crazy fees and able to, get you in a hole that you cannot get out of. And so who do they target? Desperate people, right? Understand, you don't see payday loans in very nice neighborhoods. You don't see payday loans in, affluent areas. You see it in slums. You see it in the lowest of the lows when it comes to cities, downtowns, different things like that. And so you got to understand they're targeting a certain group of people, and those people are continuously going back to them more and more and just, filling their pockets. And so you want this to be your last resort. You don't want this to be, hey, I'm struggling, so let me go get this payday loan because I've seen the sign outside. I've been passing by it every week, every day, going to work. There are some alternatives, and that's what I want to give you, is some alternatives when it comes to these payday loans. Go to regular banks. If your credit isn't completely shot, right? If you have good credit and this is, you're just struggling, right? You just lost your job or something like that and your credit isn't terrible, go to the banks first, because their 20%, 15%, whatever the case may be, interest is a lot better than 660%. Whether it's 2 weeks or not, here, I'll even do a calculator for you. So we do 660%. Say it's $1,000 loan to get your car fixed. The finance on 14 days on $1,000 is $253. So that's 25%. 25% of what you borrowed, or you're paying 25% of what you borrowed within 2 weeks. And if you're struggling, you're most likely not going to have that money to be able to pay that additional, not even just the principal, but the additional interest back. And so at the end, you end up paying $1,253 within 2 weeks from borrowing. Granted, you don't borrow again. And so, like I said, they do have some laws where you can roll it over 3 times, which is crazy. So now you're getting fees added on every time you roll it over. You still got to pay the initial balance, including the interest. And so it's just like, once you get to 3 times, then it's deferred, then, you're definitely out of luck. And so take that into consideration, is the interest is going to be ridiculous when it comes to these loans. So banks, credit unions, understand these are smaller forms of banks. These are local. And so you have a better chance of building a relationship with them and them possibly being able to help you out better than the larger banks. Credit cards, possibly, using the credit card to pay for small little things. Selling items around the house. Hey, some of that stuff you got to let go. Whether it's a designer bag you bought when you was working, maybe it's, designer clothes, whatever the case may be, or you don't have any of that. You're just down on your luck and just trying to get by. There may be some stuff that you have to sell just to get further by until you can, get that next paycheck, get that next job, whatever the case may be, starting, side hustles, whatever the case may be, to get that money to pay back whoever you owe or, whatever. Understand, work locally. So if you go to a independent auto shop, right? Going back to the car example, then they might be willing to work with you on a payment plan. Maybe, a big auto shop may have payment plans. I'm not sure. I've never heard of one, but maybe they do. But regardless, a mom and pop would be more, likely to help you out when it comes to, hey, I need this fixed on my car, but I don't have the full amount right now. Can we make something happen before they do the work? Right? Don't lie to these people or not say anything to these people until the work is done, and then come to them and be like, hey, I'm struggling. No, let them know beforehand. Hey, my transmission out, whatever the case may be. I need a car. Can you get this fixed? But I don't have the funds to get it fixed. Can we work something out? That conversation would go a lot better than the latter. And now they just take your car away from you or keep your car until you find the funds to pay for it. Use, if your company offers it, use daily pay. So what daily pay is every day you work, they deposit a certain amount of money into your account. They account for taxes and stuff like that. But they do their best to deposit your after tax income into that account every single day. So then once you get to, 2 weeks, then that money's withdrawn and it's obviously sent to your bank account if you use none of it. But if, say you get paid on Thursday and your account's at, $200-300 on Monday, then you could withdraw that $200-300 on Monday, use it for what you need it for. And then, come Thursday, that $200-300 will just be subtracted from whatever else you made for that week or 2 week period. So take that into consideration. If your job offers it, is use that. And that way you're using your money that you worked for. You're not having to pay interest or anything like that. You may have to pay a fee to instantly get it rather than waiting a day or two, but that's a lot better than 660%. Nonprofits, go to food banks, go to food drives, go to back to school drive, different things like that. Do those different things for those areas of your life. That way you're not shelling out money for those areas. That way you can use that money to pay for rent, pay for, gas, pay for whatever. And there are also some nonprofits. They may be able to help you in those areas as well, be able to help you pay your rent, be able to help you pay for gas or whatever the case may be when you do fall on hard times. You just have to do your research, figure out what's out there locally for you. But look for nonprofits in your area. Now, this is the lesser of two evils, but use the cash advance with your credit card. I know my Discover card is 30%, 30% APR when you withdraw cash from the card. It's not ideal either, but it's a better option. And so that's another option. But the best alternative, I say the best for last, is prevention, is having a savings. There's a lot of people going out and buying homes because because it's this status symbol. A lot of people going out getting cars because they want to impress people, because they want to be comfortable, because they drive for work and I just got to be comfortable. All right, cool, whatever. Do you? I'm not here to convince you one way or another. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to get that expensive car, if you're going to get that expensive house, all houses are expensive at this point, right? When stuff breaks, it's expensive. Then have an emergency fund. Not only have an emergency fund, but also have 3 to 6 months worth of savings saved in an account, in a high yield savings account. What I've talked about the difference multiple times. I'll run through it real quick. But a emergency fund is $1,000. This is money I can transfer over. In my case, I transfer it over from my regular, bank savings over into my checking, and I can spend it right then and there. That's like, hey, I need money right now. I can't wait a week or wait 3-4 days for the money to leave one account to the other. No, I need this money today. That's your emergency fund. And then your 3 to 6 month savings, that's the money that you put in a high yield savings account to where it's still accessible, right? You're not putting it in a IRA account or, a retirement account. So it's a little bit more accessible. But like I said, you may have to transfer it over to your regular checking account to be able to access it. So you got to take that into consideration. But that money isn't just sitting there. It isn't sitting in a regular savings account where it's only earning 0.01%. It's actually growing, in my case, 5.05%, I believe my rate is. And so, it's constantly growing. And so if you're going to make a big purchase like that, whether it's a house or a car or whatever the case may be, or not even any of those, you just get a new job just for the sake of having money, right? Having money put aside. You want that 3 to 6 months worth of savings. That way, if something does happen, you're able to pay for it, or put it on a credit card, and then you have 30 days to move that money over and then pay for it cash, right? And so you have that buffer. You have that 3 to 6 months of buffer, whether you lose your job, whether a big emergency happens that's costs more than $1,000. You now have a buffer to be able to move with. That way you don't even have to borrow any money whatsoever, right? And so take that into consideration. Is the best alternative is prevention. It's just prevent having to even you get to that point. Prevent having even to get a cash advance from the credit card, having to, do whatever. Utilize your resources in your community. Have some savings. Just be smart with your money and don't go out trying to impress people, because hard times will come. That's life. That's literally life. There are good times and then there are bad times. Nobody can sit on here and say they've had a great life all the way through and nothing bad's happened, right? Now, maybe overall your life has been great, but you've had some moments where it's kind of sucked. And nobody on the other side can say, hey, my whole life has been terrible. And there hasn't been one day where I haven't smiled, laughed, or whatever the case may be. It's a yin and yang. It's a yin and yang. There's some seasons where the life is just lifing, and there are other seasons where it's like, I can get used to this, right? And so be very understanding of that and prepare for that. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like in the comments. And I will see y'all in the next episode. Peace.